What's up, guys? It's Ben with 2020 election predictions, and today we are just 50 days from election night. Now, I don't think we're going to know the results on the election night, which is November 3rd, which is a Tuesday. However, I think once probably a week coming in, we're going to know the results. So today I'm going to fill out my updated prediction. I have some changes that I've made. I'm going to fill out this electoral map. Right now, I think it's 132 electoral votes for Donald Trump and 213 for Joe Biden, and I'm going to fill in the lean and tilt states. So these are the states that I think are going to be decided by 5% and under. All the states that I filled in right now, I think are going to be not very competitive and are going to be outside of that 5% margin. So let's just dive right in, and I'm going to fill in the lean Republican states. So right now, I think Texas is a lean Republican state. I think Donald Trump's going to win it between 3 and 4 points. This is one state where I think that John Cornyn is for sure going to help him on the Senate level. I think it's going to be closer than it was in 2016. If we remember, Donald Trump won 53% of the vote there. Hillary Clinton went 44%. I think we're going to see less of a third-party share of the votes. I think it could very easily be like 48-51. So Donald Trump would get 51, Joe Biden 48. Or we could even see like a 49-47 or something like that. So it's definitely going to be close. I think it's going to be just above 2%. But I don't think it's going to be super competitive. And I think this is reflected by the fact that Donald Trump really isn't spending any money in the state. Joe Biden is, so Donald Trump might have to play defense. But if Texas goes blue, there's literally no point in filling out this electoral map because Joe Biden wins automatically. Next up is Ohio. We've seen some polls that have Joe Biden up in Ohio. It's still within the margin of error. I think what we'll realize is that the polls are still going to be a little skewed to the left, like they were in 2016. I think Donald Trump was projected to win Ohio by 1 to 2 points. He ended up winning it by 8 to 9. Similar to Iowa, I think Iowa was a little bit to the right of Ohio. Not a lot of people kind of talked about how wrong the polls were in Ohio because it didn't really matter because Donald Trump still won, but they were even more wrong than these Rust Belt states. So I think Ohio is still going to be pretty safe in Donald Trump's column, even though I think Joe Biden's going to overperform just because I think he's going to be able to appeal kind of to the white working class better than Hillary Clinton did. Next up, we have Georgia. I think Georgia, I'm a little conflicted whether this is going to be a tilt Republican or lean Republican, but I think like Texas, David Perdue on the Senate level is going to help him out there. Georgia and Texas, they're both trending leftwards. However, I don't think they're pure swing states yet. Donald Trump won Georgia by about 5 points in 2016, and I expect Joe Biden, Kamala Harris to improve on this margin, but I think it's going to be around 2 to 3 points for Donald Trump. And right now, I just have it as Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. I've kind of taken out the vice presidential candidates because I really don't think they're going to matter much going into 2020. I think in 2016, Mike Pence definitely helped Donald Trump to get the evangelical voters, but I really don't think that Mike Pence adds a lot in 2020. I think it's going to be a referendum on Donald Trump, and it's going to kind of be a referendum on Joe Biden and his entire career and whether people think he's competent. So next up, I want to go to some of the lean Democratic states. I think that Nevada is definitely going to be a lean Democratic state. Donald Trump just held a rally there, so I did have this in the likely Democratic state. So I thought Joe Biden was going to win it by over 5 points. I think it's going to be probably between 4 and 5 points. I think that I'm surprised that Donald Trump's campaigning here because I do think it is a little bit of a waste of resources because I don't really think he has a huge chance to win. The polls actually in this state typically tend to lean towards the GOP, which is surprising because in the Rust Belt, they tend to lean to the Democrats. So I think it's going to be hard for Donald Trump to win Nevada, and I don't really see a huge point in him trying to win the state, especially when it only has 6 electoral votes. Next up, this might surprise some people. I have the state of Arizona in the lean Democratic column. Now, let me explain why I've kind of shifted this. It was a tilt Republican. It was a tilt Democrat. Today, we just had a poll come out that had Arizona, Joe Biden with a 10-point margin. I think Arizona is going to have the biggest shift, the biggest shifting state. I think it's just shifted leftward a lot. We saw this in the 2018 midterms. And I think having Mark Kelly as the Democratic Senate candidate really helps out Joe Biden. I don't think there's going to be a ton of split ticket voting. I've talked about this before. In 2016, there was no state that went on to a different party on the Senate or presidential level. I think, we definitely could see it in North Carolina. I mean, there's the potential in Arizona, but I think just Mark Kelly's strength right now is going to help Joe Biden, even though I don't think Joe Biden's a very strong candidate on the presidential level. So this doesn't mean that Donald Trump can't win, because I think we've seen his strategy. He's pulling money out of Arizona. I think he's going to start dumping it in the Rust Belt, which I actually think is smarter, because I think he has more passive victory through the Rust Belt than kind of the Sun Belt. But he still has to hold on to Texas, of course. So moving on, I think right now, Minnesota is a lean Democratic state. Hillary Clinton won it in 2016. However, I don't feel as certain in the Rust Belt states. I think Donald Trump could. There's going to be kind of the shy voter effect. I don't know how strong it's going to be, but I really don't have a ton of confidence in the polls here. So I very well could move Minnesota into the tilt Democrat or tilt Republican column. Um, Next up is the state of Michigan. We've seen that Donald Trump is pulling some of his funds out of Michigan too, like Arizona, because I think he realizes that he can win without it, even though that it might be kind of a slim victory for him if he does. I think Michigan, I have the most confidence in it going in Biden's category out of the kind of four states right here that I think will determine the election. So I even think that Minnesota is going to be the right of Michigan. However, we did see a poll come out of Michigan a week or two ago that had Trump up. So I really don't think we can trust the polls a lot. But I think what we need to look at is the demographics, the 2016 results, and kind of account for that bias that we saw in 2016 in the polls, and try to figure out what the shy voter effect is. So right now, I'm looking at North Carolina. I think this is also a lean Democratic state. It was the closest state in 2016 in terms of raw votes, but I think out of kind of all the kind of swing states, this is the state where Donald Trump's approval rating has dropped the most. It was one time at minus 25, and it's going to be really hard for him to win this state. But once again, it is 2 electoral votes. So I don't really think it matters that much on Donald Trump's pathway to 270. So right now we're at 204 to 260. So whoever wins these states is going to win the election. I think it's going to be a very close election. The winning state, the tipping point state, is going to be under 2 points. So that's what I have here. And I want to encourage y'all, if y'all haven't subscribed yet, please do that right now. It really helps me out, and I'm really trying to expand my channel and grow it right now. All right, so first of all, I want to look at North Carolina. I think North Carolina is going to be a tilt Republican state. This state went to Donald Trump by 3.5 points in 2016, and I think it's just part of the solid South. This is a lean Republican state in general, but I think that Joe Biden is going to have some strength here. Barack Obama did win in 2008. I think it might be slowly leaning or kind of tilting left, but I mean, Donald Trump outperformed John McCain and Mitt Romney, so I think he's going to have some support here that might not be measured in the polls. And the polls right now have it as a total toss-up, but I think Donald Trump is going to win it at the end of the day. Next up is Florida. I think Florida right now tilts towards the Republicans. I know this isn't completely reflected in the polls right now, but we've seen some new polls that have come out that is suggesting that Donald Trump is improving his position. He was down by like an average of 5 or 6 points, I would say, kind of in the months of June and even into July. But in August and September now in the polls, he's only down by 2 or 3 points. And in 2018, the Democratic candidates for governor and Senate were up by like 3 to 4 points, and they ended up, the Republican candidates in the 2018 Democratic wave year and the Democratic tsunami, they still won. So I still think there's going to be some undercover Trump support here. However, I also think that the coronavirus hurt him with the senior vote here. So I'm definitely going to look at Florida. I'm really not certain about Florida, but if Donald Trump doesn't win the state of Florida, then I don't think he has any paths to victory. I think both candidates are going to invest a lot. And with Mike Bloomberg, if he really does spend $100 million on TV ads, I'm going to see how effective that is. Then I might change this back to a tilt Democratic state, but we will see. So moving on right now, we're at 248 to 260. So, I mean, this race is totally close. I mean, some people have said that like Joe Biden just has a huge advantage in the national polling, which he does. But I mean, Joe Biden can still win the national vote by 5 percentage points and still not win the electoral college. So let's move to Pennsylvania right now. Pennsylvania is very, very close. It's the polling has I think within 3 or 4 points, and we saw that the polling on the state levels in the Rust Belt was horrendous. They just did not. They oversampled college-educated voters. I think Pennsylvania is going to be very, very close. I think it's going to be the closest kind of out of all the Rust Belt states. Right now, I have it as tilting towards Joe Biden, but this very much could change. And like I said before, I don't have a ton of confidence in the polls in the Rust Belt. But the 20 electoral votes in Pennsylvania, if Joe Biden does win, which I'm not super confident about, this would give Joe Biden the electoral college victory and make him the 46th president of the United States. So there you have it right there. And I also think that Wisconsin is going to be a Democratic state too. The Republicans, I think, outperformed expectations in the midterms in the Democratic wave year when Scott Walker almost held on to his seat. So I think this bodes well for Republicans in Wisconsin. However, the polling deficits in Wisconsin are pretty large, 6 to 7 points. And I totally understand that they're the same margins as they were in 2020. So I'm not going to put a lot of trust in the polls, but right now, I think that Joe Biden just holds a slight advantage. So there you have it. Right now, my prediction is 290 to 248, so closer than it was in 2016. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so right here. And if you have subscribed, hit the bell notification so you can get an update whenever I come out with a new video. Please let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree, or have any ideas for future videos. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow for a new video.